Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have all of you here today for our meeting, and this is our first meeting in May. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Holly Prane, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston.
Present.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Are there any additions, suggestions, or deletions? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
So moved.
Second. Were they in good order, or were there any corrections?
I sent some to Holly. Did you update those?
I approved those
Okay.
prior to court.
Thank you.
All right, I think we need to say what they are.
Okay. One of them was changing the spelling of the word motion from M-O-R-I-O-N to M-O-T-I-O-N on page 82. This is going off of memory.
Right,
then-
and actually the page numbers were different, so it's,
Okay.
I think actually page 84, so that was corrected.
And the other one was I asked to remove letter E, the police station, from the agenda. I think it had somebody else's name listed as requesting that.
Yes,
And that was me.
correct.
All right. Anything else? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Time now for public comment, the time during our meeting when anyone who would like to address the fiscal court about a community issue or neighborhood issue is able to do so. Is there anyone here who would like to? All right, please come forward. And even though we know who you are, please state your name and address.
Albert Harrison, 114 McMakin Manor. And thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm probably going to have to come back for the second part because what I've got to say takes too much time, and then you got a full agenda. I still want to get it in. I was always taught when you're going to give a talk to get the attention of the group you're speaking to, and I'm going to do that quickly, and then I'll explain more of it later on. But to my knowledge, this body and the Board of Education and maybe some others here in the county have never properly made a motion to go into closed session. Everybody's going by what's in the statute. But there have been several key law cases that further define the statute, and this is one of them. But it's not been cited by anybody. Judge Crosby, in the process of considering a case that I filed with him, has done a marvelous job of further defining what is meant by executive sessions, what you can do, what you cannot do, and how they are managed. The language that has not been followed because nobody made you aware of it, and I guess that's maybe some defense. But properly, when you make a motion, in addition to what you've been doing, there must be specific and complete notification in the public meeting of any and all topics which are to be discussed during the closed meeting. That would greatly eliminate a lot of the public angst because we really don't know what happens in your closed meetings. This is a case, not a new case. It's one of the first ones concerning the open meetings and it was ruled on in 1997. It's been here that long, it's been on the books that long, it's cited in numerous other cases. I don't want it to be cited in a case that involves Oldham County. I don't think we need that kind of publicity. So I strongly advise maybe Mr. Baxter and I could get together, or we could have a group meeting. There are also parts of the Roberts rules that are not being followed, and the statutes say that if it's not covered in the statute, then we defer to Roberts rules. And it's not just fiscal court. Like I said, it's the school board. I haven't studied all the different agencies, but we need to take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it and make sure we're doing it correctly, or else we're going to be spending a lot of time in court, and we don't need that. So that's the end of my first part.
Well, we'll extend you additional time to continue to make your points, unless you want to come back later. It's all right. I think we'll be
Okay.
glad to give you more time just so there's some continuity to what you're saying here.
Yes, it's all connected. The complaint I originally filed was in June of 2022, pursuant to observations that people had made of activities at the polls for the primary that year. There was an individual that people observed and fell under the classification of electioneering at the polls. If you're not aware of what you can and cannot do at the polls, check with Ms. Alvey and find that out for sure, because carrying on a conversation and social activity in a polling place, that's not allowed. There's a limit to how much time you could spend in a polling place. Nobody recognizes that. But there are rules for it. So I filed a complaint with the County Ethics Commission in June of 22, and I don't think they had met before, but they found there was nothing wrong and pretty much dismissed it. But in the process, they did not do what needed to be done in order to have an executive session. So on that basis, I appealed it to the Attorney General. Not the one we've got now, but the one we got rid of. And he sided with the Ethics Commission. And I appealed that through an attorney to Oldham Circuit Court and provided Judge Crosby with a wealth of information about the history behind the Open Meetings Act and also the relevant cases that have been tried and were ruled on at the Court of Appeals and also at the State Supreme Court. Judge Crosby wrote a really articulate opinion. He read all the cases that we had submitted as evidence and made a ruling that controls what you do and what every agency in the county does. And it also pertains to what happens in the state of Kentucky. Because until challenged and overturned by an appellate court, what he has ruled is the law in that particular area of open meetings. And the newspaper, you weren't here, did a gross disservice because they read the closing paragraph of Crosby's ruling with the headline, court denies reimbursement of fees and expenses. So I didn't get anything back for what I spent, but that wasn't the point. But there are 2 pages before that 3rd page that contain all the meat of the case. And that's what you all need to have access to, and that's what you need to read. Because it explains very articulately what I'm doing now. But the newspaper did not help us, because that was just one very small piece of the case, and it wasn't really what we were looking for. We were trying to get to the Court of Appeals, and Barry Baxter probably can explain this better than I can, but decisions made at the appellate court level, and that's what we are, at the trial court level, and that's what circuit court is, they are not reported and logged into the various databases used by the legal community to do their research. Only if they get to an appellate court do those cases get formally reported. And not all of them go, because the appellate court decides which ones do not. So we wanted this decision to be recorded and reported. So on the basis of the denial of the fees and expenses, we appealed that to the Kentucky Court of Appeals without knowing if they would even hear it because they have discretionary authority. But they did hear it. So it is now of record, and it can be researched online, which is going to be a benefit to a lot of people, and it's going to be upsetting to a lot of other people. Because what Judge Crosby's decision does, it turns the light on in these executive sessions. The court cases even refer to the executive session as being secret sessions. And that's in several court cases. But they also emphasize open and transparent, because what you're doing is public business, and it should be seen and heard by the public.
Judge, are you okay with more time?
Okay, you have any more points there, Albert?
No, we can stop. That's a good point to stop. I've got
Pardon?
more. I've got more. It can wait till later.
Well,
It's a lot to absorb.
okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else who would like to address, not quite yet, Cindy, speak in public comment here?
Hello, Judge Magistrates. Ryan Fisher, Director, Oldham County Planning and Development, 100 West Jefferson and LaGrange. I just want to give a little note again that we're in the middle of our Oldham County Comprehensive Plan and Future Land Use Map updates. We're in the process of having public meetings for the next 2 weeks. We had our first one last night over here at the Fiscal Court Reception Center. We did get a lot of rave reviews about the look of the facility and how beautiful it is. There were a lot of childhood memories that were shared with us, and memories of people being married in there as well. So about 80 people attended that last night. 52 did take the politeness of signing in for us, but there were about 70 to 80 individuals there. Tonight, we'll be over at the North Oldham Public Library, the Goshen branch, 5 to 7. On Thursday night, we'll be at the South Oldham Fire Department in Crestwood, same time from 5 to 7. On May 13th, so next Tuesday, we'll be at the Westport Baptist Church in Westport. And then on May 15th, we'll be at the Ballardsville Fire Department on 53.
It is Thursday and not tomorrow night, because I thought South Oldham was tomorrow night.
Nope, South Oldham is Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I just wanted to remind everybody, so let your constituents know, the more the merrier. So
All right.
thank you.
All right, you're going to remain for the rest of the meeting here? Okay, thank you. All right, another person. All right, please state your name and address.
Yep. Jennifer Toll, 3905, Hambletonian, LaGrange. Mine's more of a question than a comment. I understand that you were able to go to Virginia and tour their data centers, and I'm wondering when we're going to have the opportunity to hear what you thought and your concerns or advocacy for it, just in general, how that trip went.
Okay, well, I plan to address that later in the meeting. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to fiscal court? Judge, can I? Sure. Okay. There's our county attorney, Barry Baxter.
I just wanted to report about the status of the task force, the drug task force that has kind of been bubbling a little bit. So the Commonwealth Attorney and I had an opportunity probably 4 weeks ago to have a Zoom meeting with some of the folks that work for the Attorney General and that are part of the Opioid Commission to discuss whether or not opioid funds could be used for the purpose of funding the task force. Based upon input we got from them, we put together a job description for the director that we then circulated back to them. That job description is kind of a hybrid from what might be seen for a task force like that, in that there are components of it that relate to opioid abatement duties that require some working with local agencies that deal with opioid abatement as part of the director's duties. We sent that back to those folks. We had an opportunity on Friday to speak with them again. We got very positive feedback from them. We are actually awaiting written confirmation from them that their decision about being able to use opioid money is a favorable one. There are 2 counties that we proposed to make part of the task force that specifically indicated that they could not be involved unless they knew they could use opioid funds. That would be Gallatin County and Owen County. Once we get this back, the plan is for us, along with the sheriff in Henry County, to go meet with the county judges up there and to get their signatures, hopefully on the interlocal agreement. At that point, if we have everybody on board, we have to send that to the Attorney General, get their blessing on the interlocal agreement. They've already reviewed it. I don't see that as being an impediment. And if everything goes smoothly, hopefully we will be in a position to have the first meeting of the Board of Directors within maybe the next 60 days, at which point there would be some kind of decision made about how to try to hire a director for the agency, which would then allow us to move forward with the task force. Once we get the Attorney General to sign off, I'll be coming to see the judge asking for the $40,000 that you all authorized to be paid towards this. And we would be going to the other county judges and asking for their contributions as well. So that's the update. So if you all have any questions, feel free to ask me. Yes, ma'am.
Whatever happened to the opinion that we asked our legislator to submit to the AG?
Well, it was relayed back to me that the Attorney General looked at that, and the concern is the way that the opinion was being asked for and couched would have caused a potential problem with the settlement and invalidated the settlement. And that's why the second step was taken where we have now gone directly to the Attorney General and worked with them to try to come up with language that's satisfactory to them that we would be in compliance with the settlement agreements.
Yeah, he was very active on social media regarding his cheering this kind of activity on. So is it safe to assume that opioid settlement money would still be able to be used for this, or was there going to have to be another source, grants or?
No, I think that the pretty clear understanding we have is that if we're going to enable the director to be involved in certain ways, and one of the things that is the director's responsibility is if opioid money is used to hire a coordinator that is supposed to coordinate treatment for people that end up afoul of the law, that he would be supervising that. So that's one of the components that got added to it. They were very positive that this is going to be something that we can use opioid money for. I will tell you there is a concern from the Office of Drug Policy that grant money is going to be cut, that DOJ and the Trump administration is going to limit the amount of grant money that is given to the states for this type of stuff. And they've already been given an indication that their likely grant money is going to be cut in half, and they may lose all of it. So opioid money becomes hopefully the primary funding source for this.
So at some point, there will be an opinion of some sort after maybe some more of this information is submitted to the AG?
It's already been submitted. We're just waiting for them to get back to us. And we had a verbal commitment that we were good to go, but we don't have something back from them in writing that I can take to Owen County and Gallatin County and provide to you all indicating that we are good to go.
And some of that, the social media posts could be taken as maybe in a, not necessarily an agreement, but cheerleading for some of this. And then when the opinion wasn't returned back after our legislator submitted it, it was, it kind of, I think, put some counties on edge.
Well, I think there was a misunderstanding about how the process was supposed to take place. And that's what's been conveyed to me is that the Office of the Attorney General would have appreciated the legislator coming and speaking with them first before asking for the opinion so they could have had a discussion about how to do it.
he may have appreciated that, but it was submit an opinion was submitted. So I look forward to
I
hearing.
think it got withdrawn, the request.
I know, I think it did get withdrawn. I'm looking forward to hearing what the AG's opinion is moving forward. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, sir.
Yes, just a quick question. Has there been any more discussions with Shelby or Scott County? I know they at one time had expressed an interest early, but, I didn't know whether, with more clarification, whether they were going to reconsider their position.
I have not. I will say that we have been focused on trying to figure out how we're going to pay for this. So, I think if it becomes clear that opioid money can be used for it, we would certainly re-engage with them to see if they would have some additional interest. I do know that Shelby County had some other things going on with their judge executive that kind of limited his availability to be able to talk with us about this. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Barry. Is there anyone else to address public comment at this particular time? All right, I'm going to close the public comment and invite our next speaker, I believe is Cindy Harbin.
All right, it's supposed to work now.
Cindy, I ask you, I stated your name, would you please state your address?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. I want to thank you, Judge, and I want to thank all of the magistrates for the opportunity to speak before you
You
today.
didn't state your address.
I'm getting ready to.
Okay.
Cindy Harbin. My address is 1220 Riverside Drive, Prospect, Kentucky. So let me get this PowerPoint going because I'm a little nervous. I'm usually on the other side
Okay.
of the thing, and it's not going to do. Come on, get out of the way. All right, where's Jim? He's supposed to be up here helping me.
All right.
He's coming.
Okay.
No need to be nervous here, we're all among
Well, I'm
friends.
always, Thank you, sir. Okay, what I wanted to come before you and talk about today was that Oldham County had a flood disaster. And you may or may not have even known that, but you're still in a flood disaster. That flood started on April the 2nd, and it's still going, and as I said, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a timeline, if it works. All right, so starting in April the 2nd was the heavy thunderstorms, the rain, all of those opportunities, and LG&E came through and cut off the power to our neighborhoods. That power was for 140 homes. So we were out of power for 10 days. Then as the water continued to rise, it crested on April the 9th, and we had some locals on the 13th, which was a Sunday, started clearing our roads to help us get back in. As I talk a little bit about what Harmony Village is, as I said, we were 140 tax-paying households. 90% of us live there year-round, and many of us work in Oldham County. As a result of working with Jim Silliman, we've been able to come together, and two homeowners associations, Harmony Village and Oldham Acres, came together and we created a flood committee to start working with the Oldham County a little bit tighter. Just to share a little bit, Jeff Schutz, who is one of our residents, started clearing the roads at one end of Riverside Drive. Jim Bannon started clearing Oldham Acres at the other end, and you can see it was pretty muddy. And I want to say thanks to Oldham County government, who was prepared with the resources to help the citizens. I want to thank the people who make up the staff of Oldham County government, who have walked or have driven our community every day, sometimes several times a day. They have visited every one of the 140 households, just in our two communities. And each member of the Oldham County staff have been pleasant, helpful, and patient. And let me tell you, patience is not something that we take for granted, because all of us were quite shocked that we were in the middle of a flood. So I want to recognize some folks that helped us make this happen, and I call them our boots on the ground. And while some of them are not going to be in the room today, they mean a great deal to us. As Oldham County residents, we want to thank Jim Silliman, the contacts at LG&E, of whom I've gotten to know because I got to see them every day after the power started coming back on. And I even had the opportunity to buy one of them lunch. And he said, "I'll see you again soon." And I went, "Oh, no, 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 not for another 7 to 10 years. You're not coming back down here." Zach Wilt with the Oldham County Emergency Management, who's been trying to get FEMA designation for Oldham County, which we do not have yet. But because Oldham County was prepared, we've been able to get out and do the things that needed to help our citizens come back together. The Red Cross has been down there with disaster services. I met Alec Flynn, Matt Dunaway. He's been up and down the road. So has Jerry. Becky Zonkulin has been patient with us as we kept saying, we need more dumpsters. No, please don't take them away yet. Yes, my end of the beach has been cleaned up, but these other folks at the other end are just now getting into their homes. And to date, some of them still don't even have power. And to Ben Kimbler. Ben and his crew, this department has been working with our community every single day and every week. And I can't say thank you enough for all the services, Judge, you and this magistrate has put together, who, without FEMA money, still made sure that the crews could get out and put us back together. Because the only thing we wanted to do was to get back into our homes. Not only had my power been off for 10 days, I couldn't get in my home. Then once I get into my home, I have to change out the plugs that got wet, all that stuff. But there were people there to help us get that done. And I can't tell you enough that if I sound like I'm passionate about these folks, I am. Because this was a flood. They saw me. They wouldn't know me today if they saw me, because they only saw me in waders, mud all over my face, in my hair, running up and down the street saying, "Can we get to this house? Can we get to this house?" But everybody was there. And so, Judge, we just want to say thank you to you. And thank you, thank you, thank you to each of you as magistrates for helping make Oldham County the right place for us to be able to live. And we are very proud to be Oldham Countyans. And we are so proud, too, that with this flood committee coming together, we brought 2 homeowners associations. We're just down the street from each other. But you would think we were worlds apart. But we came together, and now we're working together with you all. And I thank you all very much for your time. And I hope that you all are happy that we are saying thank you, because sometimes we've been so busy these last few weeks. Because as I wanted to say one last thing, today is May the 6th. And yes, we're still cleaning up. We're going to be cleaning up for probably another month or so. When I drove back down my street Sunday night, I went, oh my gosh, it looks like a war zone. But it's getting better. And the dumpsters are still down there, and the road crew's coming back because they said they're going to keep coming back till we get it done. So thank you, sir. And thank you all very, very much for letting us be a part of Oldham County and for you all being there for us when we absolutely needed you. And we were quite surprised to have a flood at 36.6 and thinking it's not going to be that. But it was very much like the 1987 flood. It's muddy, it's dirty. So Oldham County is still in a disaster, but you all were prepared for it, and I thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. All right. We're proud of our staff members, and we appreciate your attention and thankfulness for the effort they made and they continue to make. We've got a good group of people that work here, and I'm thankful that you recognize that, and we're very happy to help in your neighborhood and hope that we don't have a similar situation ever again.
I hope not for 17 years.
Not for a long time.
Yeah, but it's coming from the heart.
Right. Thank you very much. And thank you to the staff members that were recognized here today. We'll move on now to the next item on our agenda. We're happy to welcome our school superintendent, Dr. Jason Radford, here today. And I think it's been a year since you were here. Doesn't seem like a year.
Yes, sir, that's
but
correct.
I guess it has been. So thank you very much, and welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Magistrates and fiscal court members, it's great to see you, and thank you for having me. And as Judge Vogel just kindly mentioned, it's been about a year. This is, I think, my third or fourth time appearing in front of the court just to give you an update about what's happening in our school district, the work that we've been doing about all things when we think about student learning, employees and recruitment and retention, and making sure that we're continuing to have the very best school district that we can have for our entire community, because it takes all of us. I think I do have a slides. Do you have any slides? I have a flash drive if you can. Okay. I thought that you.
I think you got to hit exit.
Okay.
First, because we're still on the old one.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want me to come down here and help?
Let's see if I can.
Go ahead.
Oh, maybe so. I'm sorry.
I'm doing some work there.
Just wanted something in PowerPoint. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you. If you all want a good chuckle, if you know or see any of my assistant, you can tell her that I did not get the technology correct, and she will just have a really good, she'll have a really good laugh at my expense. Perfect, thank you. Just do it that way. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we will just. I'll just move forward. I will share with you a couple of things. See if I can. It will not let me go through. No. Let's see.
It's not until you clear that screen.
Okay. There we go. Thank you, sir. Well, she would have a really good chuckle. Okay, so I'll just kind of jump in and share with you what we've tried to do for the last 3 or 4 years. We have talked to all of our full-time employees. We have about 1,500 full-time employees, and we meet with them face-to-face and go over all the things that we're working on to improve their experience, which ultimately, if we don't, obviously we want to take care of our people so they can take care of our students. I'll just quickly just mention to you, this is our value statements that we have for our school district. There are 4 main pillars: students, employees, family, and community. And I'll just highlight with you very quickly the reason that I'm here presenting to you, and we're going to our Rotary groups, to our city councils across the county, obviously fiscal court today, but we want to engage, empower, and elevate the experiences of our families and our community. We want to partner with everyone to ensure kids are successful, students are successful. We want to support the educational experiences that our students have, and we want to promote and enhance our school system. So I just want to take a few moments and just share with you where we've been, just to give you some brief perspective and share with you about what we've done with salaries, because you all deal with that on a daily basis. And as you prepare for your next fiscal year, we have done a 12% increase the last 3 years in salaries. We have given $8 million in one-time stipends to our employees over the last 3 years total. Where that comes from is just conservative budgeting. And so we've been able to give those one-time stipends. And certainly we want to make sure that we don't, and you all have to do the same things, that we don't use our savings account to pay for reoccurring salaries. But instead of making deposits in those savings account or into our savings account, we've given it back to our people. We've increased hourly pay for our workers, our support staff, by $2 an hour. That was last year for this current school year. We created a virtual school, Liberty Academy. A year ago, we had a vision, just over a year ago, we had a vision to create an online academy for our students who, we had lost some students to homeschool. We have students in our community and families who have hardships, and so we really work hard to provide that opportunity. Today, we have about 100 students enrolled in Liberty Academy. We're going to have our 5th graduation this spring, here at the end of May, for about 30 students graduating from Liberty Academy. Our board has created supported our elementary schools for new playgrounds, and you've seen a lot of athletic fields getting improvements in stadiums across the county. I will talk about this here a little bit later, but we are, if you drive down 393 by Oldham County High School, Buckner Alternative is going to get a new facility. We're going to drop the word alternative from that school name, and it's going to be referred to as Buckner High School, still serve the same purpose. We think every student deserves the very best opportunity, and no one should have any, we want to drop that label for our kids. We our board supported paid parental leave. So if you have a child, mom or a dad, as an example, you will have paid leave for our employees. That's been very popular and very well received. We have a 5-year strategic plan. That's part of those value statements, those actions of excellence I shared with you just a few minutes ago. I didn't bring with me, but you all have received several publications about our community newsletter that goes out to every home and business. That's twice a year. We do get sponsorships to help us pay for that. We've expanded our SRO support. We have a great partnership with the Oldham County Police Department and certainly LaGrange Police Department within the county. Baptist Health has helped us sponsor some Title Health clinics, some virtual support for our employees so that they can stay on the job and get some support that they need as well. Another way to illustrate our 4 pillars for our strategic plan that I've already mentioned. I won't read all of these to you, but we engage with all of our stakeholders, and these are just work groups, just to name a few, to make sure that we're on the right track and that we are working to solve problems, because most of the times things that come to you are really, whether it's about an issue, usually goes back to time or money to solve those things. And so we have to work very diligently to try to do that. Employee feedback. I'm going to share with you a couple of things that our board asked. Tell us about what do the employees say? What are their thoughts? So when you think about recruitment and retention and all the things that we're doing in our school district, in addition to recruitment and retention, you see those check boxes up there. So this was a survey that we sent out to all of our employees. So I asked the fiscal court, which one of those, what were the top 3 choices that you think of those check boxes? So if you would just take a moment, take about 10 seconds and just peruse that list. What do you think? Anyone take a guess as what the top 3 choices might be? What would be number 1, number 2, and number 3?
Do I get to participate? Because I saw it last night at City Council.
Well, now, Mr. Jeffries, you might have to recuse yourself on this one. But yes, you did see that last night at the LaGrange City Council. Anybody want to take a stab? What was
The money-related ones.
money-related ones? Anyone else have something that was maybe another top choice?
Tuition.
Tuition, okay. Anyone else want to take a stab? I'll share with you the survey says, obviously the raises that we've given over the last 3 years, 12% or $2 per hour. Number 2 at 75, just at under 76% were the stipends. Number 3 was the non-traditional instruction, use of NTI days. We have overwhelming support from our teachers about using NTI days. Now, to be quite honest, I've shared this with many people in our community. I never dreamt that we would have to use all 10 NTI days. I thought we might have to only use 1 or 2, but certainly goes without saying, we've had a heck of a winter, and that's an understatement, right? Number 4 was paid leave for parents. I think someone may have mentioned that one. And number 5 was our major improvements to our buildings and grounds. I'll pause right there. I'll jump into budget here in just a moment. But when you think about recruitment and retention, salaries and benefits, and you think about facilities and all those kinds of things, for us in our school district, those are 2 different pots of money. There's restricted funds for facilities, and we can't use that to pay for salaries or for benefits. They go towards improvements, renovations, and new construction. So salaries, workload, resources, support, and communication. Those are the merging themes that our staff say, Jason, please make sure that we continue to work on this as a school district. I will tell you, and only because of the team, not because I'm here in front of you, but the culture within our school district, it would make your heart smile to see how hard our people are working every day for our kids, because that's why we exist. But we've worked really hard to try to take care of them so that they can take care of our kiddos. So let me talk a little bit about budget. Salary and benefits, general fund monies. So 82% of our general fund goes to salary and benefits. That is something you all contend with it within the county, whatever your percentage is. That's a very healthy number for us as a school district, and that's where we want to be. We want to hover in that area. You start getting close to 90% or something of that nature, that gets into different kinds of conversations. The remaining, everyone has 100% of their budget to work with. Remaining costs are instruction, maintenance, operations, and transportation. Those are the remaining costs that we have to contend with. And so then as we closed out FY25, we're currently in FY26. You all are as well within the county. Our revenues were reported at 10% over budget. Expenses were under budget by 4.6%. So that allows us to be able to give money back to our folks in the form of a stipend, as an example, rather than make a deposit into our savings account. So tax rates remain flat, and we've continued to be able to do all that we can to maximize our monies moving forward. Let me talk to you about school funding for classroom teachers. I've shared this with you in the past. This is the same. It hasn't changed for K through 12th grade. The state suggests, you can see those ratios, 24-1 all the way to 31-1 up to 12th grade. So what that means is these are the classroom teachers that the state recommends school districts, boards of education allocate to the schools. So that does not include office aides, does not include counselors, does not include special education teachers. This is classroom teachers. So for example, the state would say, okay, how many fifth graders do you have? Divide that by 29, and that's how many teachers you should allocate. In Oldham County, we allocate 23.2. Now that is not a guarantee as to how many kids will be in every classroom, because the state law says the board can only allocate a ratio, approve a ratio, and then that's how the schools are staffed. The SBDM has to make decisions about how they want to use those staffing numbers. I, by law, cannot sit down with Kevin Jeffries and say, okay, Mr. Jeffries as principal, this is how you need to use those numbers. I can't do that. And so that's how our structure works in every school district in Kentucky. So we haven't changed anything with staffing ratios. They remain unchanged, and we have zero plans to do anything with that moving forward. Okay. And so for our employees and for our entire school district, let me talk to you first about facility projects. I mentioned to you about Buckner High School. So that project on 393 at Oldham County High School, that will take about 2 years, I suspect, give or take, with how things progress with construction, weather, and all of those things. And so Buckner High School will have a new facility. We're currently working to find a location for a new LaGrange Elementary School. That is, I can tell you that we have made progress. I can't specifically comment on that any more than that, but we have made progress. I believe that we are close. That is as much as I can say, but that is a priority for our school district and for our Board of Education. Performing Arts Center. Let me back up to LaGrange. The feedback that we got is that currently the LaGrange Elementary School is a center, a focal point for the community, a proud center, a proud part of the community. And so the community said, please make sure it stays in LaGrange. Please make sure our families can still walk to LaGrange Elementary. And so those are things feedback that we've taken and working with to make decisions. Performing Arts Center, that current church there next to Crestwood Elementary, need I say more? It's aged, right? So we're working hard diligently to find a location for a new art center, and that is planned to stay in Crestwood. No decisions have been made or announced about that yet. Also, South Oldham High School will be going through a major renovation starting this summer. It's not really been touched inside that building. It's had 2 entrances added. It's been over 30 years, and so it's time for it to receive quite an extensive update. That's about a 2 to 3 year project, closer to 3. Oldham County High School will have a core renovation. So I remember, I might have been one of you all as magistrates may have asked me about a year ago about what's happening there on that campus. And so once we get things in place for South, we are actually already started the process of what those plans will be for Oldham County High School. It needs new HVAC, new plumbing, and then really the inside in terms of classrooms, hallways need to be updated and refreshed. And that's something the school, the kids, and the adults and the professional educators deserve. Also, campus beautification and playgrounds. I've mentioned to you about playgrounds, signage are things that we're talking about there to just enhance and elevate our school district for our community. If someone comes off of 146 and turns into Oldham County Middle School, they really don't know how in the world to get to the preschool or where Arvin is, and especially how traffic patterns should flow. That's a tough way to learn. So we want to try to do our part and move our district forward. So our board approved teacher raises 5%. Just over a month ago, and another $2 an hour for our classified or hourly pay. Specifically, we increased the first 4 years for recruitment. So what I mean by that is in 2021, during my first year, a first year teacher, beginning teacher coming out of college, right out of college into Oldham County would make $37,295. So today, what is approved for next school year, if someone is hired, that same teacher coming out of college, first year will make just under $49,000. We're on par with Jefferson County for the first year teacher pay. Now that's before Jefferson County made their salaries or their decisions. To be honest, I haven't really followed that very closely, but we have made big strides. We need to continue though. Everyone got 5%. And then we extended the last 3 years for retention. So you go from 30 to 33 years for teachers. So we have staff that work in our district who might have been with us for 32 or 33 years, but they were stuck at the 30-year pay. So also for restricted funds, the state will allow us to give some monies to our schools. And so we have approved for that to occur, $100 per student to each school for technology. First to go to students, second to go to staff. And so that helps them be able to put their monies that we allocate to them to help support specifically student learning and removing barriers. As I mentioned about removing barriers, we also approved $100 per student for students who receive free and reduced lunch. Very sensitive, very confidential topic, but if you have students in your school that receive free and reduced lunch, we're going to allocate $100 per child to your school, and that's something the council can decide what to do with those monies to remove and reduce barriers to learning, and we're going to make that a yearly decision using our carry forward monies that we have available, and you can see that total cost there. Also, when we think about student learning, we've allocated one additional staff member to each middle school. So 4 positions with an expected cost of about $260,000. We are really trying to redesign our career and technical education opportunities. Students need to have the choice, and so do our parents and community, whether you want to go to college or take a career track. So we are trying to really use that staff member to help implement a curriculum that we have purchased for our middle schools, and that is really for pathways. So to expand, not just engineering, but there are certainly jobs out there that veterinary science, agri-science, things of that nature that allow kids to be able to explore what could be offered, and then that will help us focus on offerings that we currently do not have in our system 2, 3, 4 years from now. K-12, so this is something really important. I think it's a great message to our community, is using our carry forward monies. We will reduce student fees $40 per student for families. So if you have 3 students that in your family that go to Oldham County schools, you will pay $120 less per kiddo for student fees next year. And that will be a yearly decision based upon the monies that we're able to carry forward for each year thereafter. And you can see that total cost is $415,000. And so the board's going to allocate that back to the schools to make them whole so the schools do not lose money, but we're passing that savings on to families. Also, we are increasing stipends for extracurricular coaches, club sponsors, $250. And we're using reoccurring general fund monies to support that. This is something that's near and dear to our hearts. Our students in FA, CAB, and PBS. What that means are students who have the most severe disabilities. They may have physical impairments. They may have feeding tubes. They may be nonverbal. They may have severe communication issues. They may have severe behavior issues. We have not been able to recruit and retain high quality staff, especially to keep those staff in those positions. So in addition to the raises, we're going to give those teachers in those classrooms $7,000 additionally. And if you're a support staff, you'll get a $3,500 additional stipend. That will save us money because we currently have to provide that service to those kids, and we have to contract with a contract service company to provide the workers for us. And it is very expensive. If the fiscal court's gone down that path, any form or fashion, if we are, by doing this, this will save us money. All right, that's all of the things I have with my slides. I tried to be efficient with my time, and I know that you all have a full plate with the agenda, but happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Just a couple of questions. Have you all seen an improvement with the expansion of fiber in Oldham County as far as CNTI? You know, folks being able to get, turn my mic on. For folks not being able to get high-speed internet, has that been an improvement for the county?
I don't have, that's a great question, Mr. Jeffries. I don't have hard data to point to, but my understanding is yes, it has. I have actually gotten the question about how many of our families do we across the county have access or taking advantage of that, meaning maybe not the number who have, but maybe what is the number that do not. Our schools have, I don't have that hard data. Okay. My belief is yes, it has, but I can't speak specifically to that.
Okay. And one other question: you're tearing down the old high school at Buckner, and can you just give us a little brief what the plans are there
Yes.
as far as that building?
Yeah, great question. So, not in any order. As you're driving down 393, and you see the Oldham County High School main entrance. And then everyone is familiar with where Buckner Alternative High School's entrance was. And that area will be the entrance into the new gym. Okay, the current gym that is used for Oldham County High School basketball games is still going to stay intact. That's not being touched. But the new gym, it will be big enough for the board to approve and host graduation if they so choose. It will seat approximately 4,000 people. It will be a beautiful facility. Next to that is Buckner High School and their learning facility for their students and their staff and their program. Also, there's additional classrooms for career technical education for Oldham County High School, and Little Colonels will also have a new facility for their little ones with a playground around back that is suitable for them that will flow really nicely. But we're really excited. That will take us about 2 years to complete, I expect.
Thank you, sir.
Magistrate Logston.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. How many teachers actually live in Oldham County? Because I was surprised on the 5 questions that free tuition to staff families. I'm just surprised that more families don't come from Jefferson County, Shelby County to teach in here. And you might not know that. I was just surprised.
I do not know the exact number. What I can tell you, like many of you all, with talking with your own constituents and within the community, how the feel, the vibe. I think that's important. We have less teachers, as an example, that live in Oldham County that teach for us than we did 5 years ago, even certainly 10. But I do not know that number.
Okay. Well, thank you for. And my other comment, the biggest, I'm in Crestwood, my district. So the biggest questions I get are about school traffic and traffic between 7:30 and 9 o'clock and from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's hard to move thousands of cars. You can have a 6-lane road out there. You can't move thousands of cars in 30 minutes to an hour. So it's hard to move that amount of traffic into one area. And I know it wasn't your decision, but when everybody put clustered schools together, you have all that traffic going to one area at one time. But my question is there any way, or would the school board be willing to maybe, I know you can only use the building fund money for the buildings itself, but is there any way that maybe y'all can advocate through the state, through state legislators to maybe be able to use some of that money to put turning lanes into the schools so they don't stand out and I call the bypass 329. I mean, one lane is on both directions is used just for turn into the school. It'd be nice to be able to solve that problem. I'm trying to get the Kidwood Elementary Street opened up so that the people going to 71 can go through there instead of having to stop down there going into school clusters. But it would be nice if we could somehow advocate for being able to use some of that money for the, and I know it's allocated for buildings, I get that, but that's part of structure also, to maybe push that to be able to get turning lanes to, and not just in Crestwood, but Highway 22 up in East and Buckner right here in Buckner is jammed also because of all the schools. So.
Well, Magistrate Lockton, I'll answer your question last, but to say this, what I did not mention, but I didn't leave out on purpose, was when we were talking about enhancing the beautification of our campuses, and I mentioned playgrounds in terms of projects. Part of that, we've asked for an assessment to happen on each of our campuses about traffic flow, where there's green space where that could be adjusted or maneuvered to assess growth. So, for example, when Kenwood Road goes in, right, that comes out by Stockyards Bank, as we all expect to happen here in the short term, we have assessed and asked engineers and architects to assess how that traffic flow could be improved on the South Campus in Crestwood to alleviate that. And to the last part, to answer your question, yes, we can advocate for legislators to be able to, there are some allowances that allow us to be able to do that where it's feasible. In some cases, we don't have the green space on current roadways to be able to do that, or you'd have to give something up. But what we do have control over as a school district is be able to maneuver within the property that we currently have to redesign patterns. And so we've been working diligently behind the scenes to try to come up with options for that to occur. We have not yielded specific results yet that our community nor our constituents can see. But we're working hard on that.
Manager Woosley.
Dr. Redford, first I want to say this is probably your last annual report to us.
Yes, sir.
You've announced your retirement, and I thank you for doing this and opening yourself up to fiscal court. I want to wish you well in your retirement. Also want to acknowledge Brent Deves and all he's done for the district,
Absolutely.
and he's also getting ready to retire. The beautifications made to the Oldham County campus has been really nice. Those soccer fields have been really nice and a nice improvement for that campus. So a couple things. Can you tell us about the superintendent search and where that's at?
What I can speak to is the board is scheduling in the process. I can't speak specifically because I'm not part of those conversations, but they are in the process of scheduling interviews, going through that process. I anticipate, I can't speak for the board because I'm not part of that process. You all may or may not know that. I don't attend those meetings or those conversations. That's the board's responsibility, as it should be. But I think they have a target date of the end of May to be able to announce who that new person, he or she might be.
Okay. And then last question, there's been lots of discussions in the community about the data center coming to Oldham County. Has anybody from that side, the data center or any of those representatives, reached out to the school board? Have you had any kind of communications with them about any tax abatements? Any conversations at all between you guys and them?
So I appreciate the question. I have not spoken with anyone that's affiliated with that entity that potentially bringing the data center to Oldham County. I have not spoken with anyone that is connected to that group or that investment group. I have spoken to folks here in the fiscal court. Judge Vogel and I have had just general conversations about that. And certainly I've spoken with the chamber, but I have not spoken with anyone who is involved with that potentially, that group. I've not spoken with anyone.
And no one else on the school board has had any conversations about tax abatements with them?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. That's all I got, Judge. Thank you.
Manager Howns.
Yes, thank you,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Redford. Echo the same comments that Magistrate Woods said about congratulations on your retirement. When we've spoken in the past in other forums, you've talked about the population at the different schools. So has that changed? Is it more equalized, or because at one time, and I'm going to get this wrong, so you may have to correct me.
That's okay.
That North Oldham was we're just going to say in the 80s. North Oldham High School was in the 80% capacity. OC was in the 90s, and South Oldham was at 100% or 105% or something. Has that equalized any at all, or do we still have that 20% disparity between the schools?
when you, so I appreciate the question. Specifically, you're referring to the current capacity within the buildings?
Well, yes, the capacity, yes, the student population in the
Okay.
buildings, not the capacity of.
Student population of
Yes.
the buildings. So currently, we have at Oldham County High School, enrollment there is hovering around 1,750. At South Oldham High School, enrollment's hovering around 1,400 students. At North Oldham High School, we're about 950. Okay, those are soft numbers. I don't have those specifically in front of me. That's going off of my memory, so please don't quote me on that. So that, for example, the renovation I mentioned at South Oldham High School, we're going to, part of that renovation is also addition. We're going to add 24 new classrooms to South Oldham High School. We have students, when they eat lunch, they eat in the hallway, on the floor, or in chairs, and they don't complain. But that has happened for quite some time now, and they are due to have a facility that is able to serve those needs. There will be, our enrollment has remained, starting going back to 21, 22, about 2022, we lost about 300 students. And so we're starting to see our enrollment come back. We were growing as a school district, and now we've leveled off and remained flat. We're starting to see that to start to grow. It doesn't take anyone very long to drive around Oldham County to see there's lots of new things popping up, apartment buildings and so forth. So we will get to a point to where we're going to need to build a new school, and that's why we've really been focused hard on trying to build on our strengths and elevate our facilities across the district, so that way we can be ready for new, because we don't want to be doing both of those at the same time if possible. So I answered part of your question, but I'm not sure if I answered it completely.
Okay, with the 24 additional classrooms, then obviously that's going to add capacity then to South Oldham.
Yes.
High School. And
And today, if you were to ask me if we were to build a new school, what would it be and where would it be? This is not anything that's been going to the board or anything of that nature. It would probably be a new middle school. The issue that we have to deal with is that when you build a new school, when you open that school, let's say it's a middle school, the other 4 middle schools cannot drop below 85% capacity.
Okay.
So we've got some thresholds that we have to, on the front end and on the other side, once it gets completed, that we have to contend with for planning purposes.
Mr. Helms, one thing you need to consider, those numbers might be, you might have 1,600 at Oldham County, is that what you said?
About just over 17.
17 that's assigned to that school, but may not be going to that building, because Arvin will draw some of those numbers off. JCTC draws some of those numbers off. So there may be 1,700 enrolled there, but not all of those are going to school there.
Same time.
And not all day, because some of them will go to Arvin half the day from all 3 high schools.
right, it just seems like we've got a lot of growth that's happening in the Centerfield, Ballardsville. You can draw that line, 329 area, obviously with Clore Station and that's happening. That South Oldham campus is going to become busier and busier, or
That's
at
correct.
capacity more.
So the short of it is, in the short term, within the next 3 to 5 years, that growth will need to be closely watched each year, and plans and actions will be needed to be prepared to take based upon those trends.
And you talked earlier too about the SROs, the school resource
Yes.
officers. I think that's one of the things that, since I've been on court, with one of the best things that I think we've done. And I applaud you guys for expanding that. And it's interesting when you see some of these officers, the Facebook post cracked me up, because one of them that I know, he said, I have never tied as many pairs of shoes in one day.
Right.
When I became a school resource
Right.
officer. And he
Yeah.
said it was also a challenge. If you've never tried this, I can tell you it's difficult. Tie your shoes is easy, but try to tie somebody else's shoes is a little bit more difficult than it seems.
It is.
But I think that program is a great program, and the partnership between the law enforcement agencies in Oldham County has really been nice. And just the way that they interact with the kids and your staff, I think that's a great tribute to what we've done in Oldham County as a group. The fiscal court and the school board merging
Yes.
together and trying to put that program on.
Absolutely. That's a good example of taking everyone working together. The county leadership, our Oldham County Police Department, LaGrange. I didn't mention the sheriff, but they have been this. I will tell you, I've been in a few different places, but in Oldham County, it's special with the collaboration connection that we have. That as an example, the support and the just willing to roll our sleeves up and jump in and do whatever is necessary whenever called upon. It's special.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Did you say what the overall total enrollment is of the schools?
So our enrollment is about 12,000 students, K through 12. If you count our preschool, we're about just over 12,000, closer to almost 200
You
students.
say that's been remaining flat or
We've
creeping up?
remained pretty flat. However, I haven't. We'll have to see how enrollment looks when school year starts. But if I were to say, we're going to start to see that to trend up each year. We're poised to grow, as we've just talked about. It's going to happen.
What's your overall operating budget?
Oh, Judge, operating budget, general fund monies. So we have about. Currently, I'm having to go through the numbers as you asked me that, Judge, where our split, so in other words, all of our local monies in Oldham County stay in Oldham County. So that split used to be, and then state monies, as property values go up in Oldham County, state monies go down. So 60% of our revenues come from local, and then 40% come from the state. It used to be 50-50. We're about, from when you pull those two monies together for general fund, we're about $100 to $120 million. Now, that's not counting grants, that's not counting restricted funds, that's not counting food service. Food service is its own entity. Yeah, 125 is what Mr. Woosley, the former vice chair of the Board of Education, he's been on the board longer than I've been in Oldham County, so you all know that. But so that gives you a little bit of a ballpark.
You're well aware of the fact that we mentioned data center here.
Yes, sir.
It's a pretty strident subject in our community right now. I think you have. I don't want to put you on the spot.
That's
If you
okay.
don't want to say, but I think you have done some measurement to, the data center people have projected that they would generate $34 million for the Board of Education on a complete build-out based on the plan they presented.
Yes.
I feel that I know that if you were to receive any money from the data centers, it would impact your SEEK money. It's going to go down.
Yes, sir.
State money goes down as local money goes up. So, do you have a per $1 million or per $1 billion investment number that you feel you're as confident the schools
Yes, sir.
might receive?
I do. I appreciate that question. So at our last board meeting, which has been a few weeks ago, I shared with the Board of Education at our board meeting about business development, economic development in the county and the impact that would have on the school system. And so the example I gave to the Board of Education, and I shared this with them at that meeting, was that if there were an economic impact of $1 billion in Oldham County, $1 billion with a B, if that were to occur, that would generate on our current tax rate, which has remained flat the last several years, that would generate about $8 million for the school system annually. Okay. However, if that did occur, we would have a reduction in state SEEK dollars, which is the main vehicle for the school system, a reduction of $4 million. It would net a $4 million increase for the school district. Now, that would be before any state incentives. That would be before any local incentives that were allowed by any county or by the county government. And certainly the law says that every school board in Kentucky, public school district, every school board shall collect property taxes. It says shall, it does not say may. So that a school board does not have the ability to say, Chris Hound's Industries, we will not collect taxes from you. But Stephanie Hawkins Industries, we will collect taxes from you. That is not the case. Now, there are some provisions allowed to the board under state law, and it has to be state approved. So I'll kind of back that down for you just very simply. Let's say a $250 million investment were to occur in Oldham County. That would net $2 million in additional revenue for the school system, but we were reduced by the state by $1 million. It would only net a $1 million increase to our overall budget. So those are really that's just an analysis and an estimate if things were fully built out based upon projections.
So to be clear, the Board of Education has no ability whatsoever to offer any type of abatement, inducement, or benefit to an employer coming into the community to reduce their property tax load.
Well, with the exception of it is available, and there's some analysis on the LRC's website for the General Assembly, industrial revenue bonds, or in lieu of taxes. So the most pertinent example I could point to, I cannot remember how long ago it was. It was when Dr. Hazelton was superintendent, Dynegy. There was some negotiations happened there, and so then property, they paid a portion of in lieu of tax, and that payment just stopped a couple of years ago to the school system instead of property values. I wasn't obviously part of that certainly conversation, but that's something that is available to any Board of Education. But again, you've got to think about the state all the way down to local county government before you start getting into those kinds of things.
Right. I believe Dynegy paid the fiscal court $500,000 a year. Was it for 10 or 20 years? It was 20 years, wasn't it?
20.
20 years, and then we
thought it was 20.
gave the school board $200,000 of that $500,000
Yes,
each
sir.
year. So,
Yes, sir.
right. So,
I hope that's helpful.
right. One more question, and we'll wind up. Magistrate Logson.
I just want to say thank you for, well, I guess you came right in the COVID years, so I guess it's been 4 or 5 years since you've been here. I want to thank you for that. The only other thing I want to caution is the amount of apartments that are going in Oldham County. I know we have a good formula for subdivisions, but I really do not think we have a good handle on the formula for amount of apartment buildings that are going in. And I'm afraid it's going to get us one day as more families move in. So that would be my only caution to the school board, is to really work on that formula.
Okay.
And I know at one time Michael said he didn't have the exact formula for it, but I think the more buildings we put up, the more we really need to nail that down. But mainly, I just want to say thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Seems to me when you came here 4 years ago, we put your face up on our digital sign in Buckner and said, welcome, day one. Okay. We're coming to whatever the last day is, so good luck. It's been good working with you, and we wish you the very best in whatever the future holds for you and your family.
Thank you, Judge Vogel, and the best to the fiscal court and to each of you, and thank you for your support of our school system and what you do. And Judge Vogel, thank you. Appreciate you allowing me to spend a few minutes with you today. Wish you the best as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you haven't lost any hair while you were here.
What's that?
Glad you haven't lost any hair while you were here.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The superintendent's here. We brought up data center a couple times, and the lady came up earlier and asked about the trip that I had made up to Loughton, Virginia. What did we find out? Well, one thing that sticks in my mind very clearly is that when someone says something's in the cloud, well, what they really mean it's in Loughton, Virginia. Loughton, Virginia is the cloud. About 90% of I believe, internet traffic in the United States passes through Loughton, Virginia, in large data centers there. There are currently 196 data centers in Loughton. There are more underway. Most of those centers went in through a provision in the planning and zoning that allowed them to go in because initially in Loudoun, Virginia, data centers were described as in their planning and zoning ordinance as office buildings. And so when property had been built out for office space, there was a certain, what they call by right opportunity for data centers to go in. They since, I believe, 2007, the data centers have been built in Loudoun. I was able to, along with some others, visit one of them. We went inside, took a big tour inside a building that was quite large. It was actually what was called a co-locator. There were 4 businesses that had all of the computers in that building in their own control. We visited other locations by car and observed a lot of wires in the going through electrical systems, going through, saw some very big buildings. Some of the buildings were quite near residential development, others were not. They had a certain section down the middle of where we went called Data Center Alley that just had one giant building right after another. We were able, and as far as the one location, we stopped and saw a very large building. It had, I don't know the exact footage, but I took a picture of a basketball goal on the property of someone we spoke with there, and the data center was just basically through the backyard, maybe 100 yards or so. That person didn't have any complaint, they said, about what was going on there, but they weren't sure exactly when the build out on that project would be finished, but it had been going on for 7 years. A lot of information was picked up from 2 experts that our group met with. We met with Mike Turner, who was the vice chairman of the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors. Very, very knowledgeable individual, had produced a 39-page white paper on data centers, all different types, everywhere, focusing on Loudoun County, but they were data centers and the type of electricity, the water, setbacks, all kinds of things that go with data centers, the type of equipment that was in them and the type that are used for electrical backup in case of an emergency. We also visited with another expert named Buddy Reiser, who was the chairman of the Economic Development Operation in Loudoun County. Extremely knowledgeable individual that gives over 100 speeches a year nationally and internationally on data centers. We were able to, I think, get a real, good bit of insight from these individuals. We certainly didn't leave as experts on data centers, but we've grown significantly and have a much firmer footing than we had when this subject first came up a couple of months ago. There are others from our community that still try to visit data centers in this part of the country, and I hope they'll be able to do so. I'm going to ask Ryan Fisher to come forward for just a moment. I'm catching you by, surprise here, but the fiscal court has passed a, was it a resolution, Barry, or a what? We have asked the planning and zoning to initiate an ordinance to put a 150-day moratorium on data centers. So that was called a what?
Well, that was a motion to refer the proposed ordinance to the Planning Commission, and I think it's on the Planning Commission's agenda along with LaGrange's, correct, for this month?
Right.
That's correct.
So I'd like Ryan to give us the timeline on that, please.
So as Mr. Baxter said, it is on the, what month are we in? It's May, right? Okay, thank you. On the May agenda for the Planning Commission, as well as LaGrange's, which they passed that kind of motion along their not last meeting because it was yesterday, but a special meeting that they had called about a week before. Same exact language as ours, other than changing the name LaGrange with Oldham County and all that good stuff. So the Planning Commission will hear that case here at the end of May. It's my intent that it would come to you all, this probably your second meeting in June. That's a quick turnaround for that first reading to be a week later. So worst case scenario would be your second meeting of June would be the first reading, and then 1st of July. We could potentially, and I'll defer to Mr. Baxter on whether or not we can do that, just that quick turnaround with the Tuesday. I think it's like May 27th is the Planning Commission hearing. Your all's next meeting, I believe, is that following Tuesday would be the first reading. So obviously we've got notification and things that we have to do with the second reading, but we could potentially, that's the fastest we could do it, would be bring to you all the first meeting of June with a second reading public hearing for the moratorium, the last meeting of June. But at worst case scenario would be.
Our last meeting in June is generally the last week of June. We have 3 meetings in June to avoid having a meeting the first week in July.
Okay, so.
It may give another opportunity to have, because of notification requirements, and that it may give it,
Right.
may work out better having the 3 meetings in June.
Right. That'll easily be able to fit that into our publication schedule. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not going to use the words easily, Judge.
I think we should have, 20 days or so in there to work on.
Judge, if Planning and Zoning is going to hear it on the May 27th, why couldn't we have our first reading on June 3rd?
I think we could.
Hasn't
The
changed.
question is when we have the second reading.
Then 14
not the
days
first
later
reading.
on the 17th.
Pardon?
Then we could have the second reading on the 17th.
If it can be inserted in the paper, there's some,
I think that's the concern, is the
I mean, it'll be
publication.
3 weeks from the time
Right.
Planning and
Well,
Zoning
but-
approves it to.
There's got to be publication, and
a
the Planning
fiscal
and Zoning
court
meets on a
publication.
Tuesday, and we
Right.
June.
Monday's the deadline, so the deadline will have already passed when Planning and Zoning meets, is the concern. So the publication deadline's Monday, Planning and Zoning meets the next day, and it wouldn't be able to be in the paper for your all's next Tuesday meeting, since Planning and Zoning hadn't already considered it.
Yeah, that's the only thing we have to be sure of it.
That's the concern.
well, we should be able to accomplish this by the end of June, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
and then that'd be 150 days, after that. So, all right, as an ordinance to just stop, take a breath here, learn exactly what we're dealing with, and whether or not it fits anywhere in Oldham County. Okay.
And on that note, I guess while I'm up here, I mean, study review committee, we're preparing to meet again here at the end of May with our kind of second meeting about, looking at regulations regarding data centers and potential, zoning classes, and to put those in and what kind of use we would consider those. So we've been continuing to work on that. We're going to have some meetings with some individuals over the next couple days and weeks to kind of get some input on that. And if all of our other comprehensive plan meetings are any indication, we'll keep hearing comments from the public on that as well. So taking those into account.
Have we defined data center yet?
We have looked at 3 different definitions of data centers, but I know there's a certain individual that thinks that's an urgent matter, but we are working on that. We don't want to jump the gun on that. So we've looked at 3 different potential definitions, and we're going to select among those and then go from there. So.
All right. You're all right with what? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so, we're trying to get our head around this. That's all we can say.
Judge,
Go ahead.
we approved the hiring of a consultant. Has that happened yet?
No.
Are you still planning on hiring one?
Yes, I think we certainly will, but given the fact that we see a moratorium on the horizon, we may not have to do it next week. We've got a little breathing room here.
Okay.
I also want to mention this, that on April 1st of this year, we had a meeting, And I had received an email from the David Bazanis at Oldham County Chamber and Economic Development, asking that I have a closed session that day to talk about possible incentives or lack of incentives for a data center coming to Oldham County. The fiscal court is able to offer incentives to any business that would come to the community that we think would be a positive business to offer something worthwhile. Incentives are considered very carefully. They're not given out willy-nilly or without careful thought. But we are trying to attract quality employers to our community. So, Mr. Bazanis asked for that session, and I thought it was a reasonable request to meet with the fiscal court in executive session. We did meet and discuss data center locations in that meeting, and I think incentives were mentioned briefly, but weren't really talked about too much because it was determined there were no additional incentives from the state other than the fact that the state has offered to forego sales tax on any materials purchased by a data center for inclusion in the center. Computers, cement, anything might have a sales tax associated with it. So we discussed it a little further, discussed it, the location, and there was some recommendation or discussion in the meeting that we possibly would need a consultant to help us understand what this was all about. And so there were no votes taken, no decisions made, but it was a discussion. After the discussion, we came out here. Magistrate Hounds made a motion to hire a consultant to assist us on a project. It was pretty obvious, I think, what the project might be, and the court passed that. At this point, I believe I have the authority to hire someone, but we've hired no one, haven't gone any further down that path. Following the meeting, there were two people in the community that objected to the fact that this was an executive session that they felt was illegal. We didn't think we were doing anything wrong, but they filed a complaint with the Kentucky Attorney General's office, two complaints from two different individuals, similar complaints, both questioning the legality of going into the meeting since the company and site were already publicly known. The Attorney General, both applications or requests to the Attorney General for a decision were ruled on, and the Attorney General's office found fault with Oldham County Fiscal Court for having that executive session. The Attorney General's office said that because it was a business entity that was known and the siting was not in jeopardy or under discussion, it was known to the public that we should not have had that. So we made an error on that, and I apologize for that. I believe it was, I don't want to throw Mr. Baxter under the bus, but it didn't strike our legal counsel as being an inappropriate meeting either. I will say that we accept the ruling of the Attorney General's office, and I'm making that publicly known now. I'll also add a provision in my own estimation, however, the issue is not quite as clear as I believe it could be, but our option is to challenge this Attorney General's ruling in the circuit court. Frankly, it's not worth arguing about, okay? We'll just say that we made a mistake, and we accept, the criticism and the finding for that. So, anyway, so that would be what there is to say about that at this point. So, but anyway, is there a person named Kristen here today? I want to, there's a lot of email a lot of, let's say, Facebook traffic out there. Some of it's not easy. I don't try to read all of it, but, you know, we're paying attention to what people say in the community. A while back, you know, a couple weeks ago, a person, and I won't totally identify, I'll just say a person named Kristen, said that made this comment: for those who don't know, our county's leadership agreed to a backroom deal to put one of these large data centers in the middle of a residential farming area on land zoned for conservation and agriculture. Okay, so, you know, fight this. I wrote back to this person and I said that we'd be meeting here today at 2 o'clock, and I invite you to come to the meeting and tell the magistrates and myself who among our county leadership agreed to a backroom deal. I said I'll give you as much time as you need to explain in detail your accusations. I look forward to seeing you. The person wrote back and implied that she would be here today, but you don't see her. So there are no backroom deals going on. There are no secret transactions underway. No one's doing anything other than acting above board in all respects to this circumstance. People have come here, they identified our county because of, I think, mostly because of the high-speed access we have here. But it also has a power line going through a farming area, and it has water capacity and so forth. We didn't go out and recruit this company. They came to us. They were looking at us for about a year before we knew anything was underway whatsoever. So the exact circumstance of when somebody may have gotten a hint of this at the Chamber of Commerce or a hint of this at the Fiscal Court is really irrelevant. It's all intended to come out publicly in the normal process of how business in the Fiscal Court and the community is operated. There is no backroom dealing, underhanded circumstances here, people getting paid off, or any of the wild accusations that are made by someone sitting at home with a keyboard. We're neighbors here too. We live here. We have all done our best in our own circumstance and God-giving ability to help our county be the absolute best county it can be. We accept everyone's good faith in those who object to this, and we accept everyone's good faith for those of us sitting here trying to adjudicate whatever happens in this regard or a future regard in relation to data centers. So let's all be adults and study the issue. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but let's not berate or imply that other people are sneaky or dishonest or have some method that they're going to get paid that it's just not appropriate. It's just not happening. And so with that, I've said my piece today on that, and I thank you for listening. The next item on the agenda today is our payables. Is there a motion to accept the bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All right. Are there any questions in regard to the bills? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is the first reading of our budget. Stan Clark, Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, it's budget prepared by the judge is being presented to all fiscal court members today for your review, comments, consideration, and whatnot. It's gone through the finance committee, meeting with department heads, the normal process we go through, months in the making kind of thing. This is balanced to the point that we are pulling money out of reserves for a couple capital projects, infrastructure projects, and that, but otherwise the budget is balanced at this point. The budget is keeping our biggest budget item is personnel, and
and all the benefits, health insurance. This budget is consistent with healthcare costs going up. Retirement actually went down slightly in this budget due to the state lowering the rate. The wages and salaries of the employees are being kept competitive with surrounding counties and agencies so that we can keep the staff and employees we have. There is some expansion in here a little bit, mainly adding in the police, continuing to grow the police fund, the police office. And then obviously there's some big things happening during the year. The AOC new courthouse is coming online, which means that the sheriff's office is providing a security force for that during the year. The main thing here now is for the review questions so that between now and the second reading, which is in about 4 weeks, we can answer questions, go over anything that you feel like should be taken out, added in, amend it, or whatnot to be considered. We can do that between now and the next reading. But in general, I know the judge has a few comments to make about this himself, about the budget in total, where funds are going. But several magistrates have reached out to me with questions after being presented with it. So if anybody else has questions, just reach out.
All right, thank you. I asked, the budget number is $71,388,811. This is not, it's a large budget, but it's not our largest. I think we were up to $77 million when the courthouse was getting underway. Most of our money goes actually into personnel. The various departments we have, just like Superintendent Radford mentioned, personnel take up the biggest slice of it. But as far as capital expenditures here, we put the $10 million in here to go toward the police headquarters. We have looked at you've all seen the initial diagram report that Keith Sharp made and presented here, which was in the $23 or $4 million range, I believe. We've asked him to trim it back and cut that down to see what we could do with about $18 million. The budget would be paid for over 2 to 3 fiscal cycles. We're just going to come back in a couple of weeks with a scaled down version. We may not want the scaled down version. I think we had a pretty nice layout to begin with for a 50-year program, but we'll see what the court wants to do. We've got $1.6 million in here to help complete the sewer line in Oldham Reserve. Very important to get sewer service into our office park. It's going on for years. People don't realize that somewhere between $90 and $100 million have been spent out there putting in roads and bridges and getting it to the point where we are. We're having a lot of activity with our developer partner since we've gotten the off-ramps on the interstate and more roads in there. A lot more people are interested in looking at our office park. But we still need, a reliable, good sewer system, and that's underway right now with LaGrange and the Oldham County Fiscal Court splitting the cost. We have road work in here on the Rollington Road and Valley Bridge to take care of. We've got police vehicles. We've got our police department needs 10 new vehicles. Okay. Got $900,000 in here for 10 new vehicles. The police are, critical in our community. It takes money to operate a police department. They're out on the street, and we're doing everything we can with our fleet management program to try to understand exactly how we can manage the vehicles we have with the absolute most efficiency. But you still have to replace ones that are worn out, ones that are in accidents. Things happen. We're also going to get some more flock cameras that have been put up to track who's coming in and who's going out of the county. This is not Big Brother, but we've been able to identify when thieves, when they arrive with the stolen vehicles, and have had good luck with the ones we have. We've also got some other police equipment, tasers and cameras for cars. The animal control is going to get a couple new trucks. Their trucks are worn out. They need 2 new ones. Another pretty good expense is Schomback Park. We just bought another piece of property down there. We're going to take down a building and expand some parking there, but we need playground equipment and other things done there that will further enhance that park. So, and we need a couple of transit vans for the detention center. Detention center carries a lot of people around from place to place, picks up people, brings them in, takes them elsewhere, and they need vans to be able to do that. And we've got $375,000 in here for 2 new road trucks for snow removal. These trucks you see are expensive, and but you just have to have them. We're moving the paving budget up from $2.5 to $3 million, and we'll be paving a lot of roads. We try not to let them go, 20 years. Every road is looked at every year, and they're graded, and the worst ones are done first. And it doesn't matter which magisterial district they might be in. Wherever they are, the worst roads are the ones we go after first. And we also have some other money in here for Kenwood Road that was the superintendent mentioned. That will go from Highway 146 down to Veterans Memorial Parkway in Crestwood. That'll be a great new way to avoid the four-way intersection in Crestwood at McDonald's there. And there's some realignment for Highway 329. Clore Lane is set to get a new intersection, Clore and 22. That's $1.2 million here. And the rail underpass, we're working on that in LaGrange at Allen Lane. And we heard some good news today that we believe that the letting for the Allen Lane project is going to take place sometime here before fall. So I hope that happens. We've been waiting a long time for that, but things actually do occur, but sometimes it takes a long time. So we've got a lot of projects going on, and data center discussion is one thing, but taking up a lot of space in our heads right now. But there are a lot of other balls in the air, and we hope to handle them all successfully. So, Stan, do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. We generally don't take questions on the first reading. Measure Die.
Yeah, I just wanted to, we've, over the past year or two, we've had some, I guess, no, I won't say heated, but strenuous discussions. Just want to make sure that all the, I've been on finance, no, I'm not on finance now, but I've been in it for 2 terms. And just make sure that the managers understand that as the judge has already mentioned, this is not cut in concrete. Every manager should look at it and see what they and put their value system to it. Some things may go up, some can go down, some can be added, and some can be deleted. So that's I just, because we've had situations where there seemed to be a misunderstanding what the court's direction was at budget time, and it didn't occur later on. So that's all I got to say.
All right. So we'll move on now. The next item is a resolution facilitating payment of expenses for transportation of parochial school students. Pat Metter, you.
Good afternoon, Pat Metter, County Treasurer. This is part of a grant that we apply to every year to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. It's for the non-public school students transportation here in Oldham County. The first request, part of that is the resolution facilitating the payment of these expenses that I need from you, Judge Vogel. And then they also ask for an estimate on what Oldham County will be asking for, and the initial amount requested this year was $75,007,208 and 96 cents. We anticipate to get that amount, if not more.
Okay. So here's a resolution number 010506-25, facilitating payment of expenses by the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation of Parochial Students. And whereas pursuant to KRS 158.115, the county may be a conduit for reimbursement of transportation costs for parochial school students. And whereas the administration of local parochial schools have contacted with Miller Transportation to transport students, and whereas the parents of these students will make an initial payment for transportation, and whereas the Commonwealth of Kentucky, to the extent that it's able, may from its designated fund reimburse the parents for said transportation expenses, and whereas Oldham County Fiscal Court, pursuant to KRS 158.115, may agree to be a conduit for said reimbursement. And whereas this is a benefit and provides for the safety of these elementary students complying with Kentucky's compulsory education law through attendance at a parochial school, now therefore be it resolved by the Oldham County Fiscal Court as follows. Oldham County Fiscal Court hereby agrees to be the conduit for payment by the Commonwealth of Kentucky reimbursing transportation costs for parochial school students. And this would be effective on the 6th day of May, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Judge, I'll move that we approve the resolution number 010506-25, allow you to sign this for the payment from the fund for parochial school transportation.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Magistrate Hawkins.
This is the same one that we do every year, just for
Yes.
information.
Right. All right, seeing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is Mr. Clark is back with our investment policy statement.
Okay. We have an investment policy that we've had for a number of years with Stockards Bank, limiting what we do with our reserves to invest, and we've been trying to...
Can you hit the microphone?
Okay, sorry. We're trying to maximize our return on interest. We are required, through KRS, what we can and cannot invest in. Our policy currently with Stockards is even more limited than that. Pretty much just dealing with U.S. Treasuries, money markets, and stuff. But we're entering a time frame now where there's going to be opportunities between other investment things that currently we do not allow Stockards to invest in on our behalf. These take quick decisions. These are mainly bonds that may come due. You may have a bond come up available at a very high rate of return compared to, like a 4% return for the next 3 or 4 years kind of thing. And so we're basically asking permission to change that policy to allow investment in some of these other bonds and things. It's still within a very strict fixed income, no risk, following KRS to the letter. Still subject to fiscal court review and whatnot, but its ability to take advantage of some returns, because as interest rates start to go down a little bit, we want to be able to extend investment. Right now, we're in a money market with, we have about almost all our funds are in money market, and as they go down slightly, we go down as well. So we'd like to fix some of that for a little bit longer term to maximize return. It could be $50,000, $100,000 a year of extra income to fiscal court if done correctly.
Judge, we talked about this in the finance committee, and Stan and I have had more than one discussion about it. And for the court to understand, I think, Stan, you explained it very well. Part of this also, too, is to take the ownership of some of this to the people that are the subject matter experts. Stan could be on one of his trips to Iceland, or could be coaching a track meet or something. And like he said, one of these investments may come available. We want to give stockyards the autonomy to make that following the parameters that are in the document. And that, I think we believe that that's going to net us, like you said, Stan, some potential higher returns on longer term money. This is not on short term money.
Yeah, so what happens, some of these bonds get presented for whatever reason, and they're snatched up sometimes within 30 minutes. And we have not been able to take those opportunities when they've come up. By the time they make a phone call here and we try to get all the approvals and stuff in place to do it, it's gone. And so this, as Chris said, gives stockyards the lead way with our guidance, which are very narrow, to go ahead and purchase that. The guidance that we are giving them controls the amount and the timing, how many months that we're willing to go, and the timing and whatnot. And probably what they'll do is make a quick phone call to verify it, and then we proceed. But
Judge, I'll make the motion that we approve the investment policy as presented by the CFO.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, the investment policy is presented here today be accepted. Further discussion. Magistrate Tice.
Stan, the question I had is we've been using, can't remember that. We've also been using another bank to invest with also.
money market only.
And I assume we'll be sharing some of that money with them. It won't just be a one bank only.
No. Yeah, we will still have a majority of our funds in money market. Money market gives us the flexibility.
Yes.
To invest day to day, basically. So.
And we're getting very comparable money, or we were at one time when I was on that committee.
It's just how they compound interest, but the rates vary not more than 1/100% between the two banks.
That other bank gives us real good liquidity. Thank you, Stan.
Measure die.
Stan, I've read this twice, and maybe I might be reading past it, but and I'm sure that you've checked into all this is they're collateralized on this, right?
The monies, all the money markets are collateralized. That's why we get a slightly less return of about 1/4% than what you might see advertised for like yourself. So that is pledges of other stocks and stuff is done for all of those.
Magistrate Dye, there's two different pots. You got to think about the money market pot with the two institutions is collateralized. The dollars that we're purchasing are essentially government-backed securities. So the collateralization is the federal government, like it or not.
Correct. And then we have a pledge for all the checking account balances too, because they exceed the 250,000 FDIC.
Which is reviewed by the auditor every year.
Yep.
So by virtue of these being government securities, we're protected. By virtue of that, okay, well, that's what I was looking for. I wanted that protection, so, okay, thank you.
All right, we've got a motion and second on the floor to accept the policy or implement the policy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we have the Hidden Valley Road Stabilization Project, Jim Sullivan, County Engineer.
Thank you. I'm going to pull up a couple photos here just quick. So Hidden Valley Road is it's a little bit more than 1 mile of county-maintained road in the northeast portion of the county. It's north of 524, Covington Ridge Road. In this area, there's Covington Ridge Road. A little bit of history, or most recent history. About a month ago, in the end of April, Ben Kimbler, our road superintendent, contacted me and asked me to come look at this area of Hidden Valley Road. He was concerned, had been notified of the bank of the stream creeping closer and closer to the road surface. So I met him down there, and you can even see in some of this aerial imagery how close it's getting as this stream meanders towards there. It is located in the flood, 100-year flood area. Get some pictures. So this is what we discovered. These are some more recent photos, but after we met at the end of April, we contacted Guardian Retention System, which is a company that we contracted with in 2023 to provide some bank stabilization repairs on 18 Mile Creek Road. They have a state contract with KYTC, which means that they've gone through a vetting process and allows us to utilize them. They're on the state contract. We don't have to go through competitive bidding as the county. They've already gone through that competitive process with the state. And it allows us to engage with them more quickly on issues like this that we don't want to wait or can't wait a month or 6 weeks. So unfortunately, after we first identified this, then we started seeing the McAlpin Locks predictions of the floodwaters rising, and you heard Cindy Harbin talking about that. So we actually had to wait and hope that this didn't wash away completely, because this was under feet of water, many feet of water. Well, luckily it didn't wash away, and now we're back to where we wanted to address this about a month ago. So Guardian Retention has looked at this. They have agreed that they could install about 120 feet of 8 to 10 foot tall bank stabilization. It's concrete segmental structures. So my request is that Fiscal Court approve the proposal. The current cost estimate is $140,553.82. The good news is that I've contacted the KYTC Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and they've agreed to reimburse the county $100,000 of that after completion. So the county's portion would be around $40,000 to stabilize this bank.
Road Committee?
Yes, Judge, this did come before the Road Committee, and we did recommend that it be approved, and especially now that we heard that the $100,000 is going to be reimbursed. You know, I think that's a really good deal to get this situation taken.
Yes, we learned that maybe 2 days ago was the affirmative response.
And so I would move that we would approve the request for the agenda item here with the master agreement with the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Second.
All right. Moved in second. Is there anybody like to discuss this? Magistrate Hawkins.
Jim and I have gone back and forth in emails trying to understand what's going on. But I'm just noticing that, is that the county maintained road that you were referencing in our emails on the left?
This is it, yes.
Okay, and it's county maintained, but is it not paved?
It's not an asphalt road. It was accepted into the county road maintenance system in 1995 to be maintained in its current condition, but it is in the county road maintenance system.
Okay, so there's no intention on moving
There's
forward?
no intention to pave it, no.
Okay.
It's about a little over a mile long, and as it approaches the Ohio River, it serves several small properties, camps down there, and then some properties along its way as you go down the hill.
So as we stabilize it, we're not necessarily filling it, we're just stabilizing it so it doesn't impede the county maintained road?
That's correct. The intent will be to excavate some on this backside, and then like if you're familiar, I didn't bring pictures of the 18 Mile Creek Road bank stabilization,
Right.
but they place it's polypropylene bags and fill them with concrete and build them up. They're maybe 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet cubes. Fill them up and build a wall so this no longer gets eroded by that stream.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Judge.
Magistrate Downs.
I drove this yesterday on my county tour that I was taking, Is that because of the, why do we think that's happening in that area there and not in another area? Because, I mean, there's more ground there that it could be taking up. I'm not disputing what we're doing at all. I'm just wondering, is this going to be Plan A and we're going to have to go to Plan B, not for this project, but further down?
I don't think so, because this is, and if you look at this aerial photography, it naturally gets that close. The rest of the stream is fairly
pulled away.
distant away.
Okay.
Now there's a lot of things going on here in that it could be the soil type, just the velocity of the stream. We also observed, and I tried to focus in one of the pictures, if you can see it right here in the bank, there's running water just coming out of that bank from groundwater in the hillside. So our contractor, when they build this wall, their intent is to build a drain system behind this to capture that, because we need to keep that water moving. Otherwise, it just builds up behind any bank stabilization. But you just got a lot of things happening here to result in this.
Okay, yeah, obviously from the roadway, you can't see that, what you just
Correct.
showed. That's a
Right.
good piece of information. Okay.
Yeah, this area right here, and probably these other spots, there's groundwater, and this is a hillside, but it's
it is, yeah.
It's pouring out of that hillside.
When it was raining, it was pouring through there.
Yes.
I didn't realize that's what that was. Okay.
Judge?
Manager Tice.
About a month ago, we didn't approve doing asphalt on Ridge Road because it did not meet the standard. County roads have been brought up to county standards, paved, etc. What makes this road, which is not paved either, any different than Ridge Road? So that it would explain why we're doing one rather than the other.
That's an excellent question, and I did check with Barry Baxter to make sure we were moving in the right direction on this and not overstepping. But I think the simple fact is that, again, in 1995, and this was in Oldham County Fiscal Court minutes, this roadway, Hidden Valley Road, was accepted into the county road maintenance system. The difference with Ridge Road and the Organ Creek subdivision roads that are another discussion is that they were not accepted into the county road maintenance system, which is an observation, Magistrate Logston, you've made also. So it's the fact that they're county maintained roads officially. This one is.
Okay, I'm not seeing a difference in the structure of the road. I mean, the road is, neither one of them is paved. I understand that we accepted one, and that's probably because we requested to do that in, what'd you say, 95?
Yes.
Okay, but I don't understand, if that other road would have been requested in 95, would we have done it? I'm looking for a difference other than one was requested and was not.
I can't explain all those circumstances from
too old for us.
2 or 3 decades ago. But again, because this one was officially taken into the county road system, and that's the only reason we can get this reimbursement from the cabinet. The cabinet wouldn't reimburse us the $100,000 if this was a private road.
Right.
Manager Jeffries.
Yeah, just for some clarification, we're still in some discussions we're going to have at our next road committee meeting this month. Some more Ridge Roads situation. There was a resolution that was passed in 2004 that the fiscal court at the time, set up a policy that they would repair that road and they would withhold property taxes yearly or whatever from those folks for an additional fund. Well, I don't want to go into a lot of details, but we've kind of, the dollars that it's taken to maintain that road has just gone through the roof, and those dollars that were put in place in 2004 on Ridge Road are not adequate to continue to do that. So we're having a public hearing.
But y'all are still working on it maybe to help them out as well.
Well, yeah. I don't want to go into a lot of details here, but.
I'm good with that.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim.
Manager Dye.
Manager Tice, it could be that the time that that question came out, if they wanted, did you want to be accepted or not? Well, it may not have met county standards at the time, number one. And number two, they may have thought, no, we want to keep a private road. Just going down the road. It wasn't like they were, maybe weren't, I wasn't around here then, but you were. Maybe you weren't on this court, but maybe that's, we don't know what the history books will tell us.
I understand.
you know.
Got it. I'm good. Thank you.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Judge. I just have to say one thing. It seemed to me like 5 or 6 tandem loads of shot rock would fix this road and keep it from eroding out like that. I don't see $140,000 there. And also, I think you could grade that road out over and toward the bank a little bit and put some more rock on it. I think it's a waste of money.
Well, to move the road, we would have to move the easement that it resides in. And as far as the rock, that's a great question, and I thought the same thing. But my concern would be this being in the, I mean, it's well below the 100-year or the 1% flood. It was, the flood waters this last month were way up in this area. This camper had to be moved up this hill in April, 3 weeks ago. So the ability for that rock to stay in place when the next flood comes is, I think, questionable, and I think we might be down there again. So I'd just rather have a solution that I know we don't have to revisit 6 years from now.
And we're getting $100,000 of that of that $140,000 reimbursed.
Somebody's $100,000. That's all I got to say. Not to be wasted.
Okay, any other comments on this? All right, I think we have a motion on the floor in second to go ahead with this stabilization program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone opposed?
I have to vote no, Judge.
All right, motion carries 8-1. Thank you. I know that people sitting here aren't going to want to hear this, but we've been here for 2 hours. Let's stay, we'll take a 10-minute break and come back at 4:20. Can we do that?
Sure.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, I'd like to ask the court now to go back into session. Is there a motion to go back into session?
So moved.
All right, we're back. Next item on today's agenda is the AT&T participation agreement, and it's Bowglass.
Thank you, Judge. Bo Glass, Oldham County Dispatch. I'm asking for approval for your signature on the AT&T service contract. The service is for a mobile command post, which essentially allows us to take our phone system out of dispatch and make it mobile in the event we have to set up at another location for any numerous reasons. Hopefully never anything bad, but like I said, this gives us access back to the hub of our phone system. It's more or less like sitting in dispatch and using that phone system.
All right.
Judge, I'll make the recommendation that we sign the AT&T participation agreement for dispatch to have a mobile phone system.
All right.
Second.
Second, moved in second. Any discussion on this?
I have a question, Judge.
Magistrate Dye.
I thought you had somebody. I thought you had
I called on you.
Okay. Explain to me what exactly you're getting here. Was it just another phone or?
It's what's called a Vesta mobile command post, but it is essentially our phone system that is mobile. It's in a briefcase, hard shell case. You can take it and set it up anywhere as long as there's internet access and use our phone system. It's got all of we've got hundreds of numbers logged in there and saved, so it gives us access to all that.
So it's like a wireless extension.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
It's called a suitcase.
Yes, sir.
Suitcase.
Basically, yeah.
Is it a suitcase phone?
Basically, yeah, actually.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, Bo, I just had a quick question. On page 2, where it talks about payment and rates, there's no payments or rates listed, and it says see attachment number 1, and I can't find any attachments to this document.
I don't know if it came through. Now, that's the attachment. There are no monthly rates for this. It's a one-time cost for the actual suitcase and equipment.
Okay.
So there's no cost after that.
How much? Oh, okay.
$35,100.
So once you purchase that, then the service is, there's no cost for a service per minute or per month?
Correct.
Because it's already in our phone bills that we're paying. We're just the ability to move the system.
Yes.
Okay.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Will this be stored when there's not an emergency? And then another question, will it only be used in the case of an emergency? And then is that emergency then determined by emergency management or the judge? Or?
Well, actually, I base this on being able to evacuate dispatch if need be. So I've been there a couple times during the storms, and if it's something that we get damage to our building and have to take off, then that's what we're looking at. It probably will not be stored at dispatch to save us time if we do have to evacuate. But it could also be used for details or anything like that if a command post is set up for events or that are non-emergency.
Okay. What would a detailed event be?
It hasn't happened, but like the Oldham County days, if you wanted to set up a mobile command post and have access to the phones, we could do something like that. Shelby County has one. They use it for their large country concerts that they have. They set up a command post there. If we were in Louisville, it'd be something like Thunder over Louisville or Derby and stuff like that.
It could be a hazardous materials incident. Any place we were to need the functionality of the dispatch phone system.
Sure. Yes,
So
sir.
without a county-owned mobile bus, say, how would we tote this around? Just in somebody's car?
I would more than likely reach out to the local fire departments and choose one of them as a backup center. Depending
Gotcha.
on where,
Okay, thank you.
The conversation just kind of being a little more broad. If we don't know where the incident's going to be, but each one of the firehouses have connectivity, has the ability to use the tone generator to send out the police, fire, and EMS, but they don't have phone service.
Correct.
And before Bo's time, previous administration, we lost the ability to use the VHF radio system to dispatch runs, and they were actually at Pee Wee Valley's firehouse, and they had to call the dispatcher and give him the runs. This way, with this device, we could take that and go to North Oldham or LaGrange or any place and be able to set up and have those capabilities.
Correct. That's the biggest downfall I think we have is if again, we do have to evacuate someplace. We have no way to get our calls. We can transfer our 911 calls to the Kentucky State Police Post 5, and they can, call us on an alternate number. But if we lose our phones, we lose all of our non-emergency lines and all that stuff. So it'd be hard to have the general public reroute to other numbers and so forth. That's the thought behind this.
Measure die.
Second question, now that you've talked a little bit more about it. So we're buying this piece
Yes, sir.
of equipment? So are we getting automatic upgrades when the new one comes out?
Yes, sir.
They're not going to hook us like iPhones where they charge us every 2 or 3 years. We got to lay out another $35,000?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks.
Magistrate Woosley.
Magistrate, I'll just say that this has been the same cost when I was with KSP. So for probably 10 years, it's been $35,000. So it's an upfront cost, and then the upgrades are there when you need it. It's good for this size PSAP, but it's really ideal for any of them because if they had to get out of that building really quickly, they could go set up somewhere, and it's just like they're sitting inside their building somewhere.
Well, when we start having hydroplane races down at Westport, you can use it down there.
Exactly, yes.
It's a redundant
As long as they don't go
system.
down Hidden Valley, so we're
Hidden
good.
Valley, yeah. I think,
Yep.
All right. Got a motion on the floor on the second on this. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, I'm going to discuss, it has to do with waste grant. No, Becky's here. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Becky Zockline, Oldham County Solid Waste and Recycling Coordinator. Every year, we are given the privilege of applying for a $4,000 waste tire grant, which allows us to dispose of tires that are either found on the roadsides or brought into our recycling center. For the first time this fiscal year, we have exceeded the amount of that grant, $4,000, in disposing of these tires. So we really are reliant on that $4,000 to dispose of tires. It's merely because the cost of recycling tires has gone up and the amount of the grant has stayed the same. So we need every penny of that $4,000. And I received an email, which I enclosed in your packet, from the state saying that they had not gotten the 25-26 application out the door yet. And I would like to bring it before you today in order to make sure that the judge can sign it when it does, the actual grant application is made available. And so that's what I'm asking of you today, to allow the judge to sign the 25-26 grant application for the $4,000 waste tire grant. You have in your packets the 24-25 application.
I'd like to make that motion, Judge.
Judge, I'll second that.
All right.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Do we know when it's coming?
No, they haven't told us. Yeah, I mean, you have the email.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be delayed.
Are there any other questions? All right, motion made to allow me to sign the waste tire grant. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Becky. The next item on today's agenda is a contract for legal services from Vaughn Pettit Legal Group in regard to the data center, which our planning and zoning director classified as a private utility because there was no specific wording in our ordinances relating to exactly how to classify a data center. That's what the classification he chose. We have received an appeal to that classification from an individual in the community. That appeal requires some legal assistance to our planning and zoning department to be able to respond to the appeal or to handle it. Normally, Mr. Baxter would be handling that appeal, but the appeal was made by Rob Houchins. Mr. Baxter has represented Mr. Houchins in the past on legal matters, so that a conflict of interest has arisen. So in order to avoid any appearance of a conflict of interest one way or another, I'm suggesting that we hire Vaughn Pettit Legal Group for the amounts in here, $180 an hour for partners and $100 for 60 associates and $100 for paralegals and investigators and $45 for law time clerk to assist Mr. Fisher and our Planning and Zoning Department in responding to Mr. Houchins' appeal in regard to the classification of the data center as a private utility. So I'll make the motion that we hire Vaughn Pettit.
I'll second. Yep.
All right, moved and seconded. Discussion? Magistrate Tice.
Explain to me one more time, if you would, and we're appealing the private utility. Have we, as a county, already determined that in our planning and zoning, we think this should be classified as a private utility?
Right. The planning and zoning didn't have any, there's no wording in any ordinance, any document in our system here related to data center. So when the application was filed, a determination had to be made as to how to handle this application. They asked, I'm not exactly sure if they asked for it or if we suggested it, but it was determined to be handled as a private utility and seek the variance from the Board of Adjustments to allow a private utility to operate in an agricultural zone. Now, Mr. Houchins has appealed that decision, and that appeal has, I guess, some sort of a legal trail, a legal process that it has to go through to be handled. And so Mr. Baxter, having represented Mr. Houchins in the past, has got a conflict of interest, and so we'll need an outside law firm to assist with dealing with the appeal. You want
Judge, the only
you want to help me out there, Barry?
Well, the only other comment I would make is it's a little more problematic for me from an ethical standpoint in that I have an ongoing relationship with Mr. Houchins, and it would not be appropriate based upon that for me to be involved in that appeal. So the Planning and Development Office needs counsel, and Vaughn Pettit, who often helps us on when the Planning Commission gets sued, when the court gets sued, has offered their services based upon the terms the judge described.
And Judge, I have no problem with the attorney firm, Vaughn Pettit. Got no problem there. What I do is I didn't realize that, or what I thought, is that as we put our moratorium, is that we had discussed what we thought might be the best way to handle in private utility. I didn't know that we'd made a formal understanding or recommendation that's where it was going to be handled. And that's where I was kind of, as an individual and having been on our trip to learn more about data centers, I thought we might be able to acquire some advice if we hire a consultant, and who it might be, of is that really the best way that we want to handle that? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't have any problem with the attorneys. It's just, are we getting the horse ahead of the cart, or have we already made that decision and I just didn't realize it?
Well, I don't believe we're getting the horse ahead of the cart. The data center process is going to continue even if the moratorium goes into effect.
Okay.
So it'll still be filed. The application's been filed and will or possibly won't be heard by the Board of Adjustments. That's a decision that I guess the legal counsel would have to make with planning and zoning, possibly myself.
Judge,
I don't know.
Magistrate Tyson, I think the confusion is in the beginning when this decision that Mr. Fisher made as to where to put it categorically, that's the challenge. That was a decision that Mr. Fisher made, and now we are where we are. There's been no decision, right, Judge, as to what we're calling it. That was the decision we made because there was nothing in the zoning regulations. That piece of the puzzle happened, 45 days ago or 60 days ago, whatever it was. That's where the challenge is. Moving forward, it may be something else. We don't know that yet. We're not there.
Well, and
Who makes the Mr. Baxter, are you able to say anything in regard to how a challenge is handled, or who makes that decision about this challenge? Is that circuit court, or is that the planning and zoning administrator, or someone else?
Well, Judge, I would rather not
Not
weigh
say?
in based upon my position. So
Okay.
I appreciate you asking, but I respectfully decline.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, that'll be something we'll discuss with Vaughn Pettit.
yeah, I'm okay.
Do we approve this contract? Or anything else? You have,
I need some clarification.
Yeah.
Why is this not an executive session? We're talking about this.
turn your microphone on.
Why, when we're talking about legal matters and getting sued, why is this not an executive session we're talking about this?
We're not getting sued.
You're not talking about a legal matter. You're talking about retaining counsel. So all this has to do is retaining counsel to represent the planning and development services, and the nature of that is a public matter. We're not talking about the intricacies of the litigation, which that would be a matter that would be, and I'm not sure this is even litigation. It's more administrative at this point. But
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, we got a motion second on the floor to hire this group to assist us with any legal matters in regard to the appeal for the private utility decision made by planning and zoning. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is dispatch language line contract, Boglass.
Thanks, sir. Again, Bo Glass, Oldham County Dispatch. Judge, I'm asking for approval on 2 signatures on this. What this is for is we currently use a tool. It's called Language Line, and it's basically when non-English or less proficient English individuals call dispatch, we are able to call this and obtain a translator. We are currently a pay-as-you-go customer, but this would make us a contracted customer. The 2 biggest benefits are, one, it goes from $3.95 a minute down to $1.05 a minute while you have the translator on the phone. And this also increases the speed at which we can get to a translator by not having to type in a 6-digit PIN after you call the 800 number. So essentially, we've used this service since I've been here, and before that, we're just becoming a contracted customer as opposed to pay-as-you-go.
I'll make the motion to save money.
Thank you.
Second.
All right.
I'm going to get that 30.
All right, motion, is there any discussion on this contract? Hearing none, all in favor, please
Did you
say
get a
aye.
second?
Huh?
Did you get a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bo.
Now you go home.
Now we're at the first reading for the administrative code, Magistrate Logston.
Yes, sir. If my computer does not lock up on me, I'll go through this. Before you, we have a change in the administrative code.
Can you speak it clearly in your
I gotta
microphone?
turn it on
there?
first.
Oh, yeah, turn it on.
We have the administrative code. We're adding some language to it, where we're taking and adding the road department. They're going to be taking care of the maintenance of the grounds. So we're adding this to this for the first reading, and the second reading will be, of course, the next month where we'll adopt it. So removing maintain from the function of services selection, and we're going to add to develop, operate parks and facilities at the highest possible level. Services include, but not limited to, operating parks, facilities, and related amenities. So, and then you're going on down to the section 6, add maintenance language to services. Selection to read as follows: maintaining grounds of county-owned property. So we're adding maintaining the grounds of county-owned property, where we're taking it out of the Parks Department and putting it in the Road Department.
Make it motion, Judge.
Well, it's just first reading.
Just first reading.
Oh,